Hi, my name is Kate Bernstein. I'm here from Mystic News. There is Bob Backlund. He's a famous wrestling legend, and Mike Messier. He's a famous filmmaker, award-winning. So, how do you guys like your time here so far?
Well, for me, this is just a pleasure to see the charity work going for Sales Up for Cancer. The legendary Bob Backlund, two-time World Wrestling Federation, now known as WWE champion. Bob, you've got a new book out, and can you tell us about that? I believe it's called Backlund, From All-American Boy to Professional Wrestling's World Champion. Did I get that correct?
Yes, sir. That's absolutely correct.
And the book just seems fascinating because you've had an epic career. I was just reading about you, and that you were actually in a gym working out, and superstar Billy Graham saw you working out and suggested that you look into pro wrestling. And long story short, 7 years later, you were beating him in Madison Square Garden for the championship.
Yeah, that was in Fargo, North Dakota. Ron Earhart didn't have a weight room for the football players, so I went to the YMCA in Fargo, North Dakota, and Billy Superstar Graham was working for the AWA back then, and they had a match in the Civic Center in Fargo, North Dakota, and he came into the YMCA when I was working out there, and we shook hands, and he asked me if I ever thought about getting into business. I said no, and then that separated it. But yeah, that's 6 or 7 years later. I'm standing in Madison Square Garden in New York City. There's 23,000 people watching, and I'm looking across the ring, and I see a guy with the WWF belt around my waist, and I'm going to get that belt from him and drive home with that belt around my waist that night. It was Billy Superstar Graham.
And you guys had a rivalry.
A miracle in my life that could happen.
Right, and you and Billy Graham, because when you started wrestling, then 5 or 6 years later, he would come back with a martial arts attire and challenge you and even destroy the championship belt itself on national television. And you guys had a second big feud.
Yeah, we did. He came back. And he was doing steroids and everything. But in the time after he lost the championship, the doctors made him get off the steroids, and he lost a lot of his charisma and he lost a lot of his body size.
What's interesting to me in your career is that you had this huge, nearly 6-year title reign from, I believe, February of '78 all the way to deep 1983. All the challenges, you probably had 50 or 60 or 100 guys challenge you for that championship.
Yeah, it was quite a run. It was almost unbelievable. And like you said about the book, I got done reading the book and I thought, my God, was that really me? And right. Having it that long and that kind of a run and wrestling the kind of guys, the tough guys, people that were animals, and that they wanted to get that belt pretty bad, but I survived overall that kind of adversity.
And the funny thing is, even when you won the title from superstar Billy Graham, no rest for the wicked, they say. 3 days later, you're fighting Harley Race in a champion versus champion match, and those champion versus champion matches maybe happen once a year at the most, and here you are 3 days into your reign fighting Harley Race.
Yeah, and Harley Race, he was a great guy in the or the NWA, and I've wrestled him a few times, and every one of them was fantastic. We had a few different hour matches, and it was a pleasure having him take me on, and I was trying to take him on, but we respected each other a lot.
And the arc of professional wrestling, you really lived through the territory system into, for lack of a better term, the WrestleMania years, and you went to a group called Pro Wrestling USA, where you had a really great double countout match with Rick Martel. You remember that one? That was great.
Yeah, Rick Martel. I when I was down in Florida, I used to have matches with him a lot for Eddie Graham, Florida Championship Wrestling, and I liked him, and he was a really top-notch guy, good person.
I remember they say that you had wrestled Billy Robinson for 63 minutes, and that's just incredible. From what I understand, Billy Robinson was a guy that could just tear you. He could just tear you up.
Yeah. Well, he was a trained shooter. He knew how to hurt people, and if he got you in the right move, you're not going to survive. But and that was up in Canada, and it was actually 1 hour and 15 minutes. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And from what I understand, you have been involved in politics. There was that angle when you came back to the WWF years later, that Bob Backlund for president, and you had a lot of people's votes, believe it or not, because people would have liked to have seen you as president. But now I understand you're kind of endorsing a political candidate here in the state of Connecticut, if it's that true, or you're giving attention to what he's doing.
Well, you know what? I've known him for a while, and I have a friend that's known him for a long, long time. And one thing is that Joe Visconti was the only person that came up and supported Trump when he came into Connecticut. And I believe that Mr. Visconti would do a lot of good things for this state. He would do things that would help big companies come back into state rather than leave because the taxes are so high. And I think that's something that this state needs is some change and spend less money than you make, not more.
Well, that's a good principle for anyone to live by. And we talk about your career, everything you've done, and just the amazing world experiences, traveling to Japan, wrestling Antonio Inoki, Greg Valentine in Madison Square Garden. Is there any match or incident in your new book that you'd like to tell fans about that maybe they can just give them a little sneak preview, but not the whole thing, to get them to buy your book, to get them to check out your book?
Well, the book is a story about my life and on a day-to-day basis, but the real key thing is for people of all ages, I learned some lessons from amateur wrestling. I learned 6 principles, and after I got out of college, I went to 2 different colleges, and I tested them in both those colleges, and I left a mark that's still there, and that was back in the 70s. I left a mark that's still there. The athletic director at Waldorf Junior College still knows my name.
Well, everyone knows your name now.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm out trying to inspire as many people for the rest of my life to maybe tweak a little something here or there to make them live a better lifestyle, a better life.
I think it's great. And, you know, we talk about guys that like the Brock Lesnar or the Kurt Angle guys who are so heralded for their amateur background. You're the guy that really put that modality into pro wrestling, in my opinion, because you're the first guy that was, I believe, an NCAA champion who could really, you know, go into that, what they call amateur style, but it's really not amateur, it's just a different animal. But then you brought your skills to pro wrestling and brought in the charisma and the promos and the things, and just matches you had with Don Morocco, for instance, were just really wild.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, you mentioned Brock Lesnar and a couple other people. All those people were pretty much athletes. I was always the worst person in everything I did. I was the worst wrestler. I was the worst student. I was the worst PE guy. I was the worst guy to play guitar. I was always on the bottom, and I learned how to fight to get to the top. And I think that was something that was very important for me to learn. I knew that it wasn't going to be easy, and it wasn't going to be fun all the time, but I knew I could do it. Because it happened to me so many times in school and this and that, but I never got negative with myself. My parents taught me to respect myself. You know, I could do it, and I just had to work harder than everybody else.
I'll tell you a quick Bob Backlund story. Just, you did the Harvard step test, and you would climb steps for an hour for training, and we talked about that earlier, which people don't realize that's very difficult. Well, one time I tried to do that for an hour, and I gave myself leg cramps for 2 days.
Yeah, well, one time I was running for Congress, and I was in Hartford, Connecticut, and I was in a divider in the road that I was on, and I was looking over a bridge, the Connecticut River. I did the step test for 8 hours. I took a half-hour break for lunch, and there was people that watched me doing the step test going into work, and then they watched me going out of town, going home, doing the step test.
Well, I just think that people need to check out your book. I believe, is the website bobbacklundnow.com, is that correct?
bobbacklundnow.com, and then they can order a book. And I don't have other people do that work. When you order a book on bobbacklundnow.com, they send it to me, and I probably email you and thank you for the order, and I'm going to mail it and sign it to you today or tomorrow, whenever.
Do you have any questions more for Bob?
No, I think I heard a lot of.
That's Mr. Backlund, young man.
Thank you so much for the interview, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
is a horror flick. Suspense, kind of a sci-fi, kind of a Twilight Zone twist on it. And I'm playing doubling a girl. I'm doing stunts on it, but I'm also being the girl's alter person. So I'm playing opposite the girl that I'm doubling. It's weird. So it's cool. And I have my website, littlebrat.com up. I have my Facebook page, and I have my face painting art website, which is acmekidsparty.com. And I am currently trying to get my Etsy store up. I do have stuff on eBay. You guys were wondering where all my stuff is. You can always email me at c.rusa, at yahoo.com, and ask me your questions, or you can catch me on Facebook and messenger me, and then I can tell you what I have or what I don't have. I have a new t-shirt out, Thunderbolt and Lightning, glow, basically, and it's a jersey, black sleeve, kind of a baseball jersey kind of a look. So, new one. And we are working on some other projects, but it's hush-hush. I'd get shot if I talk about it, so.
Hi, I'm B. Brian Blair from the Killer Bees, and you might know me now as the president of the Cauliflower Alley Club, and I'm very, very honored to be in this position, and it's very humbling to know what the Cauliflower Alley Club does. Our mission statement at the Cauliflower Alley Club is simple. Anybody that's worked in the professional wrestling industry and made a living in the professional wrestling industry for over 3 years is eligible for financial assistance when they fall on financial hardships. And believe me, many of the people that we've loved and admired and still love and admire, they fall on financial hardships, either from, lack of insurance, adequate insurance. I don't know if everybody knows this, but as a wrestler, and in the wrestling industry, there's no union, there's no savings guide, there's no 401ks, there's nothing like that, no insurance. You have to do it yourself. And either from a lack of planning standpoint or from guys that made a ton of money that simply, succumb to diseases, divorces, financial scams, lots of different things. People fall on financial hardships, and that's what the Cauliflower Alley Club is all about. And we appreciate every single one of our members at the Cauliflower Alley Club, because without our members, we simply couldn't get the jobs done. But we also appreciate the honorees. And we're about to have our 53rd reunion in Las Vegas at the Gold Coast Hotel and Casino. And I really hope to see you there, because it's one of the most fun events that you will ever go to in your life. I went there in 2001, and I've only missed a couple since then. And now that I'm so involved with the Cauliflower Alley Club, I cry. I mean, some of the things that happen to people are just so heartbreaking, and guys that you knew that were on top of the world that all of a sudden get cancer. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, and we don't announce the people that we help all the time unless they give us permission. And Paul, being one of my best friends, he had stage 4 lymph node cancer, and they gave him a death notice. But not just because of the Cauliflower Alley Club, we certainly gave him help and assistance, along with many, many other household names that you would recognize immediately. Just fall on these bad financial hardships, and the Cauliflower Alley Club is the only 501c3 not-for-profit that is there to pick them up and give them a hand up when they're down. And again, because of our members and our honorees, and because of our board members, our executive board works so hard, from Carl Lauer, who worked for 26 years since I took over before the 50th anniversary. This becoming our 53rd. Carl Lauer ran the ship with some help for 26 years, but he was a leader of the ship, and he's still on our advisory committee, and we thank you, Carl. I want to thank Morgan Dollar, our executive vice president, Dean Silverstone, our treasurer, Gloria Lavelle, who wears a lot of different caps, Scott Hosey runs the Nostalgia Room. We have Royal Duncan, who I don't know if you knew that Royal Duncan is the publisher of our our award-winning newsletter. But when you become a member, all it costs is $25 to become a member. You'll get 4 copies a year of that newsletter, and you won't find it on the internet. And you'll also get a beautiful certificate that's suitable for framing. I know I have one in my awards room. And we have several other people that just do such an amazing job for the CAC, our associates like Ron Hutchison, who puts on some tremendous seminars. And when you get a reunion ticket for the Cauliflower Alley Club, which is only $125 for the entire event, which includes 2 awesome dinner award nights. It includes all the seminars. We have cribbage tournaments. We have bowling tournaments. We have all kinds of events throughout the 3 days. A lot of people come 2 days before to watch the matches on Saturday and Sunday, which would be the 28th and 29th of April this year, since our official dates are April 30th through May 1st. But the 28th and 29th, Billy Blade puts on some tremendous wrestling matches that are in the Gold Coast Hotel and Casino as well. So be sure to go to caulifloweralleyclub.org and get your reunion ticket first. Make sure you make your room reservation using our discount code, which you'll find on the website again, caulifloweralleyclub.org. We also have discounts to budget rent-a-car. If you want to get a rent-a-car, the Hoover Dam is a little over 30 minutes away. The Grand Canyon's a little over 2 hours away, so you can make a vacation of it. Bring the kids, bring the family. Just make sure you're a member. And becoming a member is easy. And remember, we only allow nice people at the Cauliflower Alley Club, so you better be a nice person or don't even join. So, with that said, I'd like to just invite everybody that's viewing this to our 53rd annual reunion. We have some tremendous honorees: Baron von Raschke, Shawn Michaels, the Harlem Heat, Steve Kern, Blue Demon Jr., just Tony Storm, so many different, Santana Garrett. We have Princess Victoria. We have, George Shire, who I didn't mention, does the James C. Melby Award. And this year, all the past recipients of the James C. Melby Award, which is a historian award, vote to see who the historian will be. And this year, it's a wonderful man named Don Luce. So he'll be receiving the historian award. We've got several other top caliber, top name honorees that you don't want to miss, I promise. And, like I said, we're family, we're a fraternity, we're an organization of great people, good people, and we would love you to become a member. Just go to caulifloweralleyclub.org. For $25 you can join, and that entitles you to come to the banquet. We have $40 room rates at the Gold Coast Hotel using your discount code, which you'll find again at caulifloweralleyclub.org. Also, make sure you make your room reservations by March 25th, because that is the cutoff date for the discount. So we look forward to seeing you this year at the 53rd reunion at the Cauliflower Alley Club. And I'd also like to thank Bambi Weevil for the outstanding job she does in communications, and Matt Riviera, who does our wrestling outreach program for all the wrestlers, our active wrestlers right now, and he's doing a great job as well. All of us kind of band together. We have conference calls every few months, and we like our members to know everything that goes on, how much money we make. Everything's it's transparent, it's open, and you know that 100% of the money that we raise is going to those wrestlers, minus any hard costs for stationery or publications like the ear, things like that are necessary to purchase. But we only pay for necessities, and the rest, 100% of the rest of that money, goes to help your favorite wrestling stars that have fallen on difficult financial times. And we appreciate you.